Welcome to Chamber Chat. I am thrilled to be at Penn Color today with two very good friends, very good CEOs, professional people that, like all of you, like all of us, have gone through some very difficult times during this COVID pandemic. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Kevin Putman, President and CEO of Penn Color, and Michael Araten. He is the head of Rodon and Sterling Drive Ventures, President and CEO, I should say. Welcome, everybody. I'm so anxious for our businesses to hear from you, to find out some of the difficulties that you've gone through, some of the challenges that you've met, how you've overcome it, and what suggestions you might have as we move to green hopefully on June 26th, that our business community that's watching this today might glean from this conversation.
Sure.
So Kevin, I'd love to start with you first.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely. No, thank you, Vail, and it's great to be here. It really is. And as you know, Michael and I our companies have worked together for over 30 years
Yes,
here.
that's right.
So we've got a great local relationship here.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful.
And neither of us age, which is great.
yeah,
That's good.
that's great. You might talk about what does Penn Color do?
So we produce color and additive solutions for a wide range of different applications. So the coloration of different thermoplastic applications, all the way to the coloration of various ink and coating applications. Things like the coloration of the exterior of your car, to various internal components, to the coloration of your Sprite bottle, and everything in between.
Oh,
Yeah,
about that.
absolutely. But yeah, the environment today, it's very dynamic. We've all faced a number of unique challenges, of course, with dealing with the COVID pandemic, and first and foremost, making sure our employees are safe and comfortable, right? And the key thing for us has really been to listen to our teams, engage the workforce, understand what their concerns are. We all see what's in the news. We all understand what the CDC and the WHO are recommending in terms of PPE and social distancing and so on. Mm-hmm. And really the onus is on us to make sure we're not only providing our teams with that, but communicating clearly with them, that they understand, the precautions that we all need to take. And frankly, a lot of our employees have brought forward to us some ideas, some concepts that maybe we weren't considering, and they've been very positive, and we've adapted them into our plan. So the key for us has really been to listen to our teams, and we've been able to successfully put them in positions in which everyone's remained COVID-free, and we've been able to operate.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We've been able to operate under fairly normal conditions, especially most recently.
Well, I noticed as I came in today, I had to have my temperature taken. I had my mask on, my gloves. I'm here with my Purell. But that's become sort of our new normal right now.
Yes.
But we're maintaining our social distance. Michael, what have you seen?
I think this time, to pick up on everything that Kevin said, which I agree with, is it really demonstrates how agile your business really is and how agile you need to be. We talk about it a lot pre-pandemic, where everybody likes to say they're agile, they're nimble. When you have to move a third of your workforce home in a week, and when you need to figure out how to handle a manufacturing environment in a safe way, which we're both doing in different ways.
I'd love to know how you're doing
And so
that.
when you figure out what the shifts look like, what from the communication piece of, do you have a diverse workforce that has to be communicated to in a different language? For example, we happen to have a Vietnamese workforce. It's a high level of what we do. So we're translating things into 2 or 3 different languages in addition to communicating verbally and by email and by whatever text, et cetera. So there's the technology piece, there's the people piece, and then there's what we ultimately have as a protocol piece. And so and I'm sure Kevin and many businesses did the same thing, we established a task force pretty much the day that things looked like, early March, things looked like they were going to get bad. Cross-functional task force, HR, operations, finance, everybody. And what do we need to do to talk to? And then there's is your business going to be allowed to stay open? So we were both deemed life essential businesses because we're producing things that people need, because we're both producing things into the food and beverage industry, into the medical industry, into a bunch of industries that people need, yet 30% of our customers are shut down. So what do you do with that? And there's that whole financial piece about are people going to pay you or not, and how are you going to work with them on that, and who understands these programs that are happening. So do you apply for PPP, are you eligible or not, or all the other programs that are eligible. And so the long-term relationships that you have already, I think the analogy someone said that I like very much is, it's hard to prepare to build an umbrella when it's already raining. So if you haven't prepared for a lot of these things in some ways in advance, and had a process environment in advance, it's hard to survive. We've jointly prepared for a lot of those things in advance. So we've got disaster plans already. We've got capabilities built into what we can do. We've got offshore storage for data as things, just as one tiny example of things that you need. So all of that comes home, and then you're like, okay, do you have a culture where people will adapt? Which you don't really know till they're forced, and we've learned that they are. Within a week, people are home, they're working from home, they're not missing a beat, and then if a person or two people have to come into the office because there's literally just something physically they can't do at home, it's okay because you're two people in an office is fine with masks and all the rest of it. So it's staying on top of all of those things and communicating with your customers regularly, communicating with your employees regularly, communicating with your outside partners regularly. I would say for many companies, that's their bankers, right? They understand what you're doing, what your needs are, and move forward. And so, I feel very fortunate about all of that. And then in the middle of all of that, we decided to try to help with PPE as well. So, we developed...
Explain what Rodon is.
So Rodon's a plastics injection molder. It's been around since 1956. We mold about 10 billion unique parts a year for a variety of industries, and Kevin's company helps us with color. They're our colorant supplier for things like Connex, the toy business, for things like EOS, the lip balm, for things in the medical field, for things in the construction field, because even we make about 500 million parts for windows and doors every year that are all unique different colors, because everybody wants their own shade of off-white, which, as I kid my wife, there's 100 shades of white, as it turns out. So, and Kevin knows there's probably more than 100. He probably knows exactly how many there are.
We got a lot. We have a lot of white coats.
Exactly right. So all of that stuff happened, and then we looked at it as an opportunity to say, how can we help? And so we happen to have a relationship with Fox Chase Cancer Center, because we're friends with some of the people there, and they literally were 3D printing their own swabs to do testing because they couldn't get them.
Oh, that's
And so in 2 weeks, we developed a tool, we molded them up, we designed a new swab that could be one piece instead of two, and started sending it to them. And they've been using them ever since, for the last couple of months. So, and then that's going to turn into a business opportunity for us, because now we're in the process of we're filing patents and going through FDA registration and all the rest of it. And so we're hoping by the end of July to have capacity to make 1 million swabs a week.
Boy, that's great.
Right now we can only make about 50,000 a week. So we want to be able to help the region be independent from these kinds of really important things. And we think that's going to last at least for the next few years, and probably at some level on an ongoing basis, because as the thinking of supply chains has changed over the last decade, we see more and more supply chains being what I'll call regional. Ideally, you make stuff in the region that needs it. So if your primary end user is in America, make it in America. If your primary end user is in China, make it in China. Or India, make it in India, right? So because the logistics of moving stuff all around the world causes a lot of complexity and adds a lot of cost. It doesn't add any value to the end user. It makes FedEx and UPS and DHL a lot of money, but it doesn't add any value to the end user. So that's what we're focused on. That's some of the lessons I think we've learned through this last 3 months.
Yeah, it's well said.
I mean, I know Penn Color is an international company. I was wondering about your supply chain and how all of this has affected your business.
Sure. Yeah. Very early on in this process, we were extremely concerned, to be very frank. The vast majority of our raw materials are coming from Asia. They're coming from China. They're coming from India. To a lesser extent, Europe. But very early on in this process, again, especially in China, a lot of the Chinese factories were closed very early on in this year. We were very fortunate that, we have very strong relationships with these vendors. We have very, very robust inventory management programs. So, as this situation very quickly transpired, we were able to acquire the raw material that we needed, and frankly, we had to tie up quite a bit of capital to do so, but we significantly increased our inventory levels in those problem pockets.
That was smart.
Yeah, well, and we were fortunate enough, we had the financial flexibility to do that, right? But as of right now, we really do not have any significant supply chain problems whatsoever.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, I think it's very, very much a testament, though, too, to the supply base, right? I mean, everybody.
Relationships.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, I think in times like today, you obviously see the importance of relationships, right? You also, you recognize the importance of doing business the right way, right? Because that goodwill that you have with your supply base, when you need it, which you need it now, you're happy to be able to pull that string. And our suppliers have done, honestly, an exceptional job for us, as our teams have here, of course. But without the support from our supply base, which has been exceptional, we would have struggled, but we were able to avert that to a large extent.
Well, I know our chamber businesses, many of them are in manufacturing as well. Do you have any guidance for our small business community, what they could do, how they could think, how we might be of help? I mean, one of the things that's the chambers here, we hear problems that our businesses are going through, and we are out there trying to help them solve it. But I would love to hear from you all any inspirational words to our business community.
I think a couple things. One, the chamber, I think, does a great job of connecting and being a great liaison between governmental agencies that are providing help and helping them guide where it is. Because to hear a headline, I can get ABC grant from either the county, the state, the feds, all of them. And if you have only 10 people in your team or 20 people on your team, it's sort of, where do I even begin? I can get down all these rabbit holes, and what does it mean? So I think that is a good one. I think in addition to the chamber, I think the DVIRC, the Delaware Valley Industrial Council, does a wonderful job of connecting people. So I think that's just one resource, that it's a one-stop shop of going and saying, now I know I'm not wasting my time. Because time, especially in a crisis, I think is your most valuable asset. And so to use your time most efficiently, especially now, I think is most important. The other thing I think is to think about, and I often think about this as, our businesses is putting on a show. It's probably because I'm streaming so much Netflix, but, and it's sort of, who's your audience? And how can I give them a new show that they're going to want right now? And so take a day, take a full day and say, what are we great at? What have we thought about doing before that we're not doing now? How much of that can be done remotely? And if you sell any kind of end user product at all or anywhere in the chain, where's your e-commerce? Because people are buying more e-commerce than ever. I think some of you may have seen the stats that retail sales were up about 17% month over month, but internet sales were up 31%.
Is that right?
So that was really driving the retail sales, is that people are largely trying to find stuff online. And if you're a manufacturer that can set up an Amazon store, which you can set up in a day, or set up a Facebook store, which you can set up in a day, get it out there. Now's the time, because you're going to learn how to supply things. Harder for people who are in the intermediate part of the value chain, right? Like you're a colorant, it's hard to sell colorant
on the internet. Yeah.
On the internet. But there's a lot of manufacturers who are making products very close to the end use, and maybe take that next step and say, we're going to make it to the end user product. So that's part of what we've done right at Rodon, where we've launched a product called Sil-Dry, right, which is an end user for contractors, builders. It's a flashing solution, so you can seal in all the windows and doors and make sure that it saves labor.
Down to the molecule, as I understand.
Exactly, down to the molecule is right. So, we've established stores on Amazon, on Wayfair, et cetera, and it allows you, if nothing else, to start to talk to those people. So there's no one magic bullet, I think. Here, as often the case, it's a series of things that you try quickly right now. I think speed, trying things fast, is more important than trying them and getting them to the totally perfect way. So that's sort of my overview of what, if you're in a bind right now, to go to. I don't know, Kevin.
Yeah, I agree with everything
Yeah,
you said there,
yeah.
Michael. Absolutely, especially in terms of having to kind of adjust. A lot of business, I think, have to adjust the mindset of you don't have time to just think about things. You have to react quickly,
Yep.
especially in an environment like this. We have to innovate quick. We have to respond quick. If anything, I think this COVID pandemic has brought forward what Michael said there. People are going to want to buy things on the internet more so than they were before. They're going to expect even more rapid turnaround than what they expected, pre-COVID. And businesses are going to have to evolve to that. I mean, the idea of getting more direct into e-commerce, I could not agree more. In our case, we were talking about this when you first walked in.
Right.
We have behind us the rapid prototyping system. That was originally designed just to shorten the product development cycle for our customers. To take a process that would take weeks down to hours or days, right? Now, coming out of COVID, we're recognizing that this tool is even that much more powerful because now a client technically doesn't even have to come in. We can do all this remotely. We can leverage these capabilities. They can be sitting in front of their own terminal at home. We can do that development work, again, where it would used to require a client to fly in, stay in a hotel, now you can do it from your home office, and then we'll mail you a part. It's just that type of thinking, I think, is so critical because the world has changed. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. And depending on the business that you're in, the type of product or service you're offering, companies are going to have to adapt to this new consumer demand. There's just no doubt about it. And also, frankly, our employees have changed through the course of this. People are...
In what way?
Well, I think in our case,
Mm-hmm.
This pandemic has really strengthened our teams. I mean, people are, I've been very motivated to see our teams support one another at a level that frankly I've not seen before because we've never been in this type of situation, right? It's strengthened our teams, but it's also created an environment where people are more aware of danger, right? Which again is a good thing. We want people to be more aware of, surface, germs that could be on a surface or other hazards that are out there. And, the type of feedback we're getting into our safety committees and things is exceptional. It's beyond what we'd seen in the past because we've seen people, the mindset has changed. They're more aware of the dangers around them, I find.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being willing to sit down to help our businesses out. I love to listen to the two of you talk. You've been friends for years. The Chamber of Commerce is part of the Bucks County Recovery Task Force. In fact, the three major chambers have been asked by the Bucks County Commissioners to help participate. So we're there for you. If you have any questions, give us a call. Once again, this was a chamber chat, and I want to thank Michael Araten, President and CEO of Rodon and Sterling Drive Ventures, and especially Kevin Putman with Penn Color. And your facility here is exquisite. We are so lucky to have these types of businesses in our chamber, in our community, and in our region. So have a great day. This is the end of another Chamber Chat on the Street. Thank you.